Welcome to Unit 4, woo, of Speechcraft Fundamentals. You wrestling fans will get that reference. In Unit 1, you learned the difference between a topic and a message. In Unit 2, you learned how to structure your points around that message. And with Unit 3, you learned how to come up with points when you don't have a clear message. Never did we discuss how to develop a point. Well, that's what today's unit is all about. Today, you will get the 3 steps for developing a point, and you will get an example of how to put it all together. This is a quick explanation of how to develop a point. There's a lot more I could say, but I try to keep these videos short. If you want to learn more about how to develop a point, get in touch with me personally and we'll talk about your specific situation. But the basic 3 steps for developing a point are: you illustrate your point, you state your point, and then you applicate your point. Okay, my fellow grammarians are very angry at me right now because applicate is not a word. And you're right, applicate is not a word, I just coined it. And that's because illustrate, state, and apply does not have the same ring to it. So you will not illustrate, state, and apply your points. You will illustrate, state, and applicate them. One great way to illustrate a point is by telling a story, because stories get the audience's attention, they evoke an emotional response, and then they stick in the audience's memory. That's assuming it's a good story and you told it well. So tell your story that adequately illustrates your point. Another great way to illustrate your points is with an analogy. There's an old speech I do where I talk about how elephant trainers mistreat their elephants. And then I say, in much the same way, we mistreat others without even realizing it. So what you do is you set up a situation, and then you liken it to something that's in your audience's universe. If that sounds a little bit convoluted, the example you're going to get later on when we put all this together involves an analogy. So hang in there, it should become more clear later. One last way you can illustrate your point is with an activity. Now, an activity could be bringing somebody on stage to do something with you. It could mean getting the audience to break into their groups and doing something together, or it might be you doing something on stage, what you might call a demonstration. I'm working with somebody right now, and what she's doing is she's taking a jug of water, pouring it into a little bottle. The water just goes everywhere, a lot of it's wasted. So then what she does is she says, watch what happens when I use a funnel. She pours it in, not only is it much cleaner, but there's no water wasted. So that's how she illustrates the point that she's going to make later with this activity. Well, those are 3 of the most popular ways to illustrate your point. You can tell a story, you can give an analogy, or you can do an activity. But the second step is you need to state your point. Now that sounds simple, but I have seen a lot of speakers simply speak and then assume their audience gleaned the correct message from what they were trying to say. Don't leave it up to chance, because your audience can get the wrong message. In my storytelling workshop, there's an activity I do where I tell a story, and then I ask the audience, what is the moral of my story? What am I trying to teach you with it? And I was shocked the first time, because I had some people say, well, that main character's an idiot. Don't do what he did. And I had a lot of others who said, the main character's a genius. Do exactly what he did. How's that possible? They all heard the same story at the same time, and they got radically different points from it. Don't let that happen to you. Make sure you state your point. After you illustrate and you state your point, you applicate your point. The first 2 steps are all about your point, but the last step is all about the audience. You make it about them. This is why you're speaking to them in the first place. Or more importantly, this is why they're listening to you speak, because they're concerned about what's in it for me. What can I learn? What can I do with all of this? So use the pronoun you as much as possible and make your point all about the audience. Tell them what's in it for them, what they can learn, what they can do. Applicate your point. Those are the 3 steps to making a point. You illustrate, you state, and you applicate. I promised you an example of how to put it all together, right? Here it comes. 3 steps to making a point using an analogy as the illustration, and I'll even keep track of what step we're on for you. Do you know how to trap a monkey? In the jungles of India, they have a very ingenious and humane way to trap monkeys. Now, I say humane in the sense that it doesn't hurt the monkey. It's still going to be taken from its natural habitat and put in captivity, but the monkey isn't hurt by this trap. What they do is they take a barrel with peanuts in it and they make it immovable. That barrel is bolted to the ground or weighed down or something, but it's got peanuts in it. And then they cut holes in the sides of the barrel, and the holes are just big enough that a monkey can reach his hand in and grab a handful of peanuts. But here's the ingenious part. That hole is too small for the monkey to pull his fist out. And that's how the monkey gets trapped. If he just dropped those peanuts, he could pull his hand out and walk away freely. But he really wants those peanuts, so he'll grab them and hold on to them no matter what. That's when the trappers come along and shoot that monkey with a tranquilizer dart, which is pretty simple. They're quite literally shooting monkeys in a barrel. Okay, they're shooting a monkey that is partially in a barrel, but you get the point. After a while, that monkey wakes up in a zoo or whatever. But that monkey was trapped because he was holding on to something trivial. And he was unwilling. I didn't say unable. I said he was unwilling to let it go. He thought he was holding on to peanuts, but really, the peanuts were holding on to him. They were holding him captive. You may sit there and think, stupid monkey, if he had just let go of those peanuts, he could have been free. He wouldn't have been trapped. And I agree with you, but let me ask you, are you really smarter than that monkey? What trivial thing are you holding on to that is actually holding you captive? Maybe you have a dead-end job. You're capable of so much more, but this is low stress, the commute's pretty good, and there's enough money coming through. Why look for something better that you can truly excel at? You're holding on to peanuts, but the peanuts are really holding you captive. Or maybe you ended a relationship a while ago. A lot of time has gone by and your friends really want you to move on. Hey, they got someone in mind that would be perfect for you. Why don't you meet this person? But you can't, because you're holding on to that hope, that false hope, that your ex might return to his or her senses and take you back one day. You're holding on to peanuts, friend, but the peanuts are holding you captive. What peanuts are you holding on to that are actually holding you captive? And what are you missing out on because you are unwilling, not unable, unwilling to let those peanuts go? Drop those peanuts, friend, and move on. See, that's how you illustrate, state, and applicate a point. Keep it tuned here to lastrites.com for more speaking tips and the occasional uplifting message that somehow involves a monkey. That's last-writes.com. And together we, that's you and I, we will lay boring speeches to rest by giving them the last rites.